Okay. Hey, Omar. Is my Wi-Fi repeater is conking out. Hopefully my hotspot doesn't conk out, Omar. But my Wi-Fi repeater, for some reason, is conking out because my internet is trash. I used to have good internet like, all the time. How is it bad all of a sudden? Like, I don't understand. They didn't install it right or something. It's terrible. It really is. Some of the stuff in this apartment, Omar, has went so bad since my dad passed away. Well, it's not that he would have control over it. He didn't know what he was doing in the end, but you know, I feel like everything just like kind of went bad. Whatever. I'm just trying to get all the. This is a really nice planet that I may want to build a base on. But she's okay. We're doing okay, Omar. We're hanging in there. Financially, we're doing okay. You know, by the grace of God. We're just doing okay. We're doing okay. It's sweet. In a weird way, I almost shouldn't be doing okay. Somehow I am. Things are working out, man. I told you, Omar. Remember I told you I prayed a lot? God answered a lot of my prayers. Very, very, what's the word? Specific ones. That you would think I'm crazy if I told you, but I can't get into detail about it. Anybody that thinks there's no God is a foolish person. Oh, interesting. Let me know what part. Oh, wow. Yeah, let me know what part, Omar, if you want. I could try to meet up with you. Manhattan's like an hour away by train, so it's not far. I could drive there, but yeah, no, thank you. I'll usually just drive to the train station. Omar, you like the staffs in this game? Yeah, that was a long time ago. No, Omar, I think you were even younger than that when you met me. Omar, you like the staffs in this game? So Omar, it's a funny story. Is even my dad knew you, Omar. You didn't even know my dad. You know that, Omar? You never met my dad. You'll never meet my dad, but he knew you, Omar. He knew who you were, Omar. You know that, Omar? He knew you. You know what he would say? He could get up to use the bathroom, and he would. I remember one time he was watching TV, and he's like, "Who's Omar?" And I was like, "Oh, he's a friend of mine." He's like, "Oh, you talk to this Omar all night long." He's like, "Who is this Omar? You talk to him all night." He's like, "I'm like, well, how do you know that?" He's like, "I hear you through the wall. You're yelling and you're screaming. You're saying Omar this, Omar that, Omar this." He's like, "Are you yelling at him? Is he your friend? Why are you always yelling at him?" He said something like that. I'm like, "No, I said I wasn't yelling at him. I'm yelling to him." But he would hear me through the wall, Omar. Like with my rants. He really thought I was crazy, I think. Yeah, you know. Oh wow, that's good. That's good. Yeah, no, you know, like I said, Omar, everything is. I don't even know how it's working out, but it's working out, and not for the worse, for the better. My car's okay. Just got inspected the other day. No problems. Uh, my financial situation's okay. That's what she said. Oh goodness. Yeah. Well, you know, I really did kind of was I was like, you know, I really was like a psychopath. You know, I'm working on it, man. I'm still pretty crazy, you know. But like I'm trying to tone it down, you know. Um, my father said the same. What'd you tell her, Omar? Is that the only animal set? Let me see. Not yet. I think we're down to 2 grams. Yeah. Well, I don't stream as much anymore, so that's fine. She's doing okay, right, Omar? How's your family doing, Omar? Your dad, your mom, your sister, your brother? There's one more animal on the ground. And I think after that, we're finished with this planet for the most part. I can build a base here, though. It's so nice. Nice water, paradise planet, no sentinel presence. It's not too bad. Build a base here. What's those? All these things. Okay. Oh, there's the last animal, I think. We're good. Alright. Okay. Paradise Heights is good. We almost have everything we need here. Sister moved out to college. She's over there now. My dad added a whole bunch of new stuff to his business. Financially, he's doing really, really well. My brother's taller than everyone but me. Okay, wow. Runs in your family, huh? The height. Remember, this is how I died one time on permadeath by a vector attack. Pirate vector attack, oh boy, remember? Oh. Hold on. Really? Only in No Man's Sky, you're gonna scan something before you defend yourself. Is that it? There's definitely a different ship. I guess that was it. Oh, that's good, Omar. What do you mean working as something? You don't even know what she does. Yeah, my mom's got a good job working as whatever. Jana screaming is getting annoying. Yeah, you know, Omar. That's what siblings do. They fight, especially at your age. And then once you get into your 30s and 40s, you start to... Well, they either hate each other or love each other. I've seen a lot of siblings that don't have good relationships because of the childhood stuff they went through. And then there's a lot of siblings that have good relationships in their later years. That's good. She's a hard worker, Omar. Steven's not doing too good, Omar. I don't want to tell you what's happening with him, but he's not doing that good. But hopefully everything will be alright. I pray for him a lot, man. He's not doing bad. He's not doing bad by any means. Health-wise, so. But, like, you know, Omar, we're old. You see, you say we're not old. The thing is, we are old. Like, when you think of old, you think of, like, 80, I get it. But, like, once you start reaching into your mid-30s to, like, 40s, you start to fall apart. Like, if you don't take care of yourself, you will fall apart. And sometimes even genetically, you'll fall apart. Even if you do take care of yourself. It really, that middle age mark is very crucial to a lot of things. Like cancers start to develop a lot of times. You know, when you're young, you're almost like indestructible. And this is one of the reasons why people don't believe in God and stuff like that when they're young. Because you're indestructible. You're like, I could drink, I could smoke, I could get messed up, deal with one-day hangovers, nothing, no problem, until you get older. And as you get older, you start to see
the body break down. You start to see your relatives die, grandparents pass away, parents pass away, uncles, aunts pass away. You start to get sometimes ill. And then you start to realize that we're literally living in a vapor of life, like such a small window of time. So when you see all these weird, like, young people that, like, believe in, oh, there's no such thing as God because they're like 15 years old and they think they can say that, they haven't experienced life yet. Wait till something happens. They may change their tune. Chances are they're going to change it. And if they don't change their tune, a lot of times they live very lonely lives. Very rarely can you see somebody who doesn't believe in anything or is confident with believing in the arrogance of their own mind or a secular worldview to the point where they think they know everything. Very rarely are those people comforted. They are usually, what's the term? They're usually very anxious, stressed out. They don't have the greatest lives a lot of times. Now, sometimes they do. I'm not saying they don't. Look, sometimes they do. You know, they work hard, they have good lives, but a lot of times they don't. So when you told me that time your school teacher was like a mess, well, it's probably because she doesn't believe in anything. I hate to say it, but when you live that type of life where you just do whatever you want and life starts to kind of break down for you, you don't have a hope in anything. And some people are they're comfortable thinking that they know everything. And some people realize that we are truly powerless on this planet. And just look at what happened during COVID and how every city was falling apart during COVID. They didn't have enough supplies. They didn't have whatever, right? Look at Ukraine and Russia. Look how in one day, or at least a week, the whole Ukrainian lifestyle changed. Or look at Israel and Gaza, how that is, crazy stuff going on. At the end of the day, people who have a secular worldview, they don't, what's the term? People with a secular worldview don't really have any hope in anything outside of themselves. What do you do when you can't control everything? Because you can't. You can't control a tsunami. You can't control another country bombing your home or your city or your village. What do you do? Well, you believe in God, right? Well, it's like, yeah, a lot of times they still won't do that. Because that's, I don't believe in invisible gods. I don't believe in anything. I know better. I know everything. Yeah, you really know everything? How did we get here? Why are we the only species on this planet with millions of other species that don't know how to speak any type of language? Oh, the birds chirp, sure. Dolphins make their squeaky sonar noises. Yeah. But nobody speaks languages, and hundreds of communicative languages at that can be translated. Nobody speaks that. Nobody speaks languages but human beings. The only species on this planet. Actually, the only species in our solar system. Ironic that there's no other species of life in our solar system on top of things. And what is the human mind? What is consciousness? Well, guess what? Scientists don't understand it. What is quantum science? The mysticisms of quantum science. Well, scientists hate it. You have some scientists that love the quantum sciences, right? Some scientists think that it's pseudoscience, but you have some scientists that love the quantum sciences because there's an element of randomness that they can't predict a lot of times. And that's where you get into string theory and stuff, right? And then you have scientists that don't want nothing to do with the quantum sciences because they say it's too hard to understand. But they will not deny it because you can't deny it. Because quantum science is real. We have proven it on, small levels, but we've proven it. That's why we have things like the Large Hadron Collider, trying to mimic what happened in the Big Bang, let's say, right? We have things like that. Why do we have the Large Hadron Collider? You say, well, what's that crazy? Well, that's in Switzerland. They have it. It's a real thing. And they try to collide particles at the speed of light to create basically a simulation of like a Big Bang. The reason why we play around with things like that as human beings, one could say we're trying to be like a god, or maybe we're curious, whatever. I don't know. I think they should be careful with things like that. However, I will say this. One of the reasons why something like that exists is because we truly don't understand the quantum sciences. We don't understand joy. Something as simple as joy, we don't understand. We don't understand consciousness. We don't understand why we are such an anomaly in this solar system, let alone even possibly the galaxy. The James Webb Telescope that they launched is finding stuff that we never thought we'd find. The Hubble is outdated, right? So James Webb is a new telescope, and we are finding crazy stuff. The point is that I don't know if if you can hear me still, if my stream is still up or not. But anyway, the point is that, I guess to break it down, we don't know everything. Wow. And that's a wonderful thing, in a way. Because we shouldn't know everything. You know what's funny, Omar, is that they asked AI if the world is random or if there's a God. Did you see that? It was like a TikTok viral video. And I think it was ChatGPT. And most AI, neural networks and then large language protocols and stuff, the llamas, whatever, most of these AI is a God. And you say, what? AI believes in God? Yeah, AI believes in God. Get that, Omar. I swear, it's a real thing. Go look it up. AI believes in God. Yeah, humans don't anymore. That's so ironic to me, man. We live in a crazy world, Omar, where AI will believe in God before a human does. I mean, go figure. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. So the truth is, Omar, the truth is, Omar, alright, okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 74 plus 12, 86. Wait a minute. No, wait, it's going backwards. Wait a minute. 56, 7, 8, 9, 59, that's 3, 9, 10, 11, 4, 5. Oh, it's 6. It'll be 80. I think I got it wrong, actually. I don't know. Unless there was no single one. It's fine. Would you say, Omar? Yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to say, Omar, is AI believes in God. And yet our human secular worldview doesn't want to believe in God. But AI does. AI says, no matter what AI you use, like whether it's ChatGPT or whatever, will believe in a God at this point because of the fine-tuning of the universe and the laws of physics and things like that. Now, people who are elitists or arrogant will act like, oh, the AI doesn't know, blah, 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 blah. Truth is, it's very interesting that computer slash robots and computers understand that there's a God before humans do at this point, because humans always knew there was a God, but humans are falling away from God. That's the whole thing, because again, nobody wants to be told what to do. We are born in sin and we have a rebellious spirit. All of us do. And nobody wants to obey. Nobody wants to obey anybody. You know, I mean, this is why you see all this this craziness. It started off with small things like music and whatever. The rebellious spirit has been around since the dawn of time. Nobody wants to obey their elders. As children see the decline of their elders mentally and things like that, they think they know better. And there's a lot of rebellious, rebellion that goes on. The truth is, Omar, we really just don't know anything. We live in a vapor of life. That's the bottom line. We live in but of vapor. And you know what a vapor is? Come on. We live in a blip, Omar. Like, you don't realize is how fragile life is. And you know how fragile life is? Go into the ICU in the hospital and see all the sick people. Some people your age, Omar. Some people my age. Some people older. A lot of people older. They're dying. And that's it. They're going to die. And then when they die, what happens? They go into nothingness? You can believe that. You know, even Blaise Pascal, you know, he didn't want to believe that. He said, hey, Pascal's wager said, I'm not going to take that chance. You know, we're the only species on this planet that has a mouth made to praise God, have a relationship with God, right? It's really what it is. You know, I doubt we look, I don't buy into creationism. I'm sorry, not creation, evolutionism. If you know how the fundamentals of evolution started, Omar, it's because of Charles Darwin, a lot of it. And I believe in microevolutions or macroevolutions, but I don't believe that evolution is 100% true. I think it's scientific theory. Scientific theory is not observable science. So when you take, let's say, a base, like a milk, and put it on an acid, it neutralizes the acid, right? So if you, let's say, if you or if you have, like, if you eat something very spicy, they say don't drink water, it'll make it worse. I'll drink milk, right? Or ice cream, whatever. The point of that is that's observational science, right? Where when you mix different molecules, you can get another molecule, right? 2 parts hydrogen mixed with a part of oxygen, and you get what? Water, right? So that is what that's observational science. 100% believe in observational science. It's 100% true. It's a tool that we use to obviously advance in life with everything from cars and buildings and architecture, and anything you can name of is obviously observational science is needed. Right, Omar? You listening? Let me know if you're here, because I don't know if my stream is good. I'm using my hotspot. Anyway, so now we can agree that observational science is a real thing, but then there's what they call scientific theory. Okay? And you say to yourself, well, what's scientific theory? Scientific theory talks about what has happened many moons ago. And my problem with scientific theory... is my stream still good? And my problem with my problem with scientific theory is that okay, observational science we can test, right, Omar? Here's a good example. Omar. You know, we were told that we would never be able to fly like birds, okay? We were told that. For the longest amount of time, we were never going to be able to fly in the air like a bird. And if we did create something to fly, it was impossible for us to create something to fly. The scientists said it was impossible. And then guess what happened? The Wright brothers came along and created the first plane, a motor-propelled plane. You know, I think they even used their feet to pedal it or whatever. But the point is, and it had, it wasn't just something to glide with. It was a steering, propelled plane. Okay, it looked really awful, but it proved that the scientists were wrong. Okay? So scientific theory was saying that we would never fly like a bird. Okay? Impossible. Don't even try. You'll just hurt yourself. You'll die. You'll kill yourself. Don't try. You want to build like, the gliding devices and all sorts of weird stuff like that, balloons and stuff. I think even balloons to some degree were came around first, was hot air balloons, I believe, with using like helium. But you'd have to fact check me on that. But anyway, the point is that we never thought we would actually be able to have like, a machine, like a plane. We never thought that was possible. But then the Wright brothers comes along and proves scientific theory wrong. Well, remember that when we go and talk about things 1 million years ago, or 65 million years ago, keep that number in your mind, 65 million years ago. When we talk about evolution, and we say, oh, the Earth is 4 billion years old, and the universe is 12 billion, 8 billion years old, and the sun is da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We don't know what the heck we're talking about. How do we know that? Were we there? Did we have a time machine that was Back to the Future? Are we playing a video game where we get to go back in time and back and forth and see where the dinosaurs... We don't even know, Omar. We don't know. Sure, we have fossils of dinosaurs. We know dinosaurs existed. But we don't know when. All that crap you hear is from Darwinism. Do you know what Darwinism? Do you know Charles Darwin made it a point in his life to disprove Christianity? I don't know if you knew that. So, and then you can say, well, crazy. Now you sound like you're talking crazy, Driftblim. You sound like you're talking crazy. What are you talking about? Well, basically, Charles Darwin had a daughter who was sick and died. And he was a devout Christian. And he prayed over his daughter. He prayed over his daughter. His family prayed over his daughter. And she died. He got very upset. Let that sink in for a while. He made it a mission to disprove creationism. And that's where Darwinism came from. And what happened, Omar? Let's break it down. If you're still listening to me, let me know you're listening because there's a delay. Well, let's break it down. What happened after Darwinism, right? He went to the Galapagos Islands, he saw that some birds had longer beaks and whatever, and then he wrote it down, and then he pitched his thesis to the universities and the schools, and everybody said, you know what, this Darwin guy, he knows what he's talking about. He's right. Okay, so what happened, Omar? Well, what do you think happened? I'll let you answer. Well, because it got into the school systems, the universities and all that stuff, and other scientists started to try to apply their scientific theories as well, it became considered scientific consensus. And what's scientific consensus? Well, scientific consensus is the new reality of where the world is going to go. So now, under scientific theory, not observation, because scientific observation is when you test things. A real scientist is someone who tests and observes and tests and observes. But this is scientific theory. We weren't there 65 million years ago. Where'd they even get this number of 65 million years? Why is it glued at 65, 65, 65? What is that about? I asked that question too, right? We don't have exact numbers, but it becomes... And the reason why I bring up 65 million years, because that's like the last of the dinosaur age, right? So this is why I'm bringing it. Now, I'm not saying we live in a young Earth. I don't want to say that because I don't know. I'm not going to be arrogant and say, well, we live in a young Earth. That's only 6,000 years. I'm not going to say that because that's arrogant too. But I will say this. Scientific consensus after Darwinism started to make theories on, well... In order for humans, we had to come from water because the planet is 75% water, so it only makes sense. And Pangea occurred, and then things got split up, and from a water amoeba, we turned into a crab, and the crabs started to get out of the water because they were getting eaten by other things, and then all of a sudden they developed lungs to breathe air, like a salamander, right? Like basically early frog type things. And then from there, it turned into dinosaurs, and then from there, there was, obviously insects and other things came about, and then you had a mole rat, like mole rats were like the first mammals, right, that they say. And then from a mole rat, you go to a monkey, and well, why didn't the mole rats go to monkeys right away? Because the dinosaurs were eating them, and all the animals were big. So then a mole rat goes into a monkey, and a monkey goes into Neanderthal eventually, and Neanderthal goes to Neanderthal, goes to Cro-Magnon man, goes to this, goes to that, and boom! There's a missing link. Hundreds of thousands of years. And then, boom, Homo sapien. Human being, out of nowhere. Boom! It's like going from Game Boy, right? We went from like the Game & Watch series to Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, to PlayStation 5. Into the Homo sapien. And then you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Why doesn't scientific theory know what happened to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis? Why doesn't the scientific theory explain where all those gaps come from? You answer that. Yeah, exactly. Good answer, Omar. Perfect answer. They don't know. That's it. So now, you see, scientific theory doesn't know everything. So let's rewind back earlier to the conversation where I said Darwin's daughter was dying. Now, I don't exactly remember what she was dying from, but she had something. I don't know if it was like a tuberculosis type of thing. I don't know what it was. I mean, she was dying. She was rather young. Maybe she was dying of flu. I don't know. But she died. Anyway, she was dying. Charles Darwin, the father of evolution, his daughter was dying. And guess what? He was a devout Christian man. And he prayed over his daughter. Prayed over, she died. He got so angry with God that he wanted to disprove God. So he went to, he did his science work. Oh, God's not real. I prayed over my daughter. She died, blah, blah, blah. God is fake. God, why would a God let that happen, right? Why would a God let my daughter die, my innocent daughter? And then what happened? He goes to the Galapagos Islands. He starts discovering his scientific theory. And all of a sudden he pitches, he writes theses on it. He pitches that to the universities in America and whatever the case is, right? I don't know if it's America. I might be wrong on that, actually. It might be. You'd have to look up exactly where he. I can look that up if you want to know what nationality he was and where he came from. But okay, regardless of the point, I'll tell you the rest of the story. It doesn't even matter. The point is that he pitches his theories, his theses and stuff, right? And a lot of scientists do that. They pitch their thesis. This was a big thing. If you ever watched the movie Beautiful Mind, Professor Nash was pitching mathematic theses to the universities. Einstein, the theory of relativity. Stephen Hawking would pitch the theory of everything, right? Things like that. And the universities would overlook it, and they would see, okay, wow, it's a breakthrough. Very rare is it a breakthrough. But the universities felt like Charles Darwin had a breakthrough on his hand. So what they did with Charles Darwin is they incorporated what he, quote-unquote, discovered from the Galapagos Islands, and he incorporated it into mainstream universities eventually. It got incorporated. Well, does that sound familiar, Omar, the stuff that's happening today? I don't know if you see a familiar pattern, but see if you get the familiar pattern, because it is familiar. It's happening today as we speak. Okay. All right, so let's go. All right, I'll help you out here. So let's go to the fact that, as we know, Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory went into school systems, right? That's how it started. And basically, see, I'm losing my train of thought because I'm getting bombed by pirate vectors as I'm talking to you. Okay. Basically, we know that Charles Darwin had his scientific theory, not observation, theory. Okay? A lot of it was scientific theory because, look, yes, he observed the Galapagos Islands, but that's not enough to make claims of what happened millions of years ago. It's not enough. Sorry, it just isn't. Hate to burst your bubble, but that's not true scientific theory. Observation. That's scientific theory, and scientific theory has many, many flaws. So, anyway, long story short is okay. I'm just going to dig myself a little bit down here so I don't have to deal with Okay. Yes, you're good, Omar. Okay, you're getting it. I like this, Omar. You're smart. You see? I always know you're smart. Okay. Different mindsets are being pushed in schools, just like how theory of evolution was pushed also. Yes, and this is why I'm saying this. What is pushed in schools now? And it started with the universities, now it's trickling into high schools and elementary schools. Gender is a construct. Suck that in for a minute. Gender is a construct. What? Gender is not specific to XX chromosomes and XY chromosomes. XX for female, XY for male. We have, I think it's like 48 different types or something like that of XX and XY chromosomes. And then on top of it, we have trillions of cells in our body, all stamped with an XX or XY chromosome. XX equals female, XY equals male. Oh, but there's other differences too. Of course, men have hormones like testosterone and testicles that produce it, and women have uteruses and ovaries and have menstrual cycles, and women can give childbirth. However, the new mindset that you just said that's being pushed into the school is gender is a construct. And that's changing the entire curriculum of education that is targeting children just like scientific theories of the past did. Okay? It starts with the youth and then it becomes the normal scientific consensus. But the problem is, evolution started this. But the problem is that evolution was somewhat believable, right, to a degree, because there are microevolutions. Here's a good example. If a bird, like Darwin was right to some degree with birds, for example. If a bird has a long beak and is mating with a bird in its species with shorter beaks, well, and they turn out to have shorter beaks, well, they're going to die out compared to the birds with the longer beaks when they have to pick the fruits from the trees. Okay? That was the whole principle of Charles Darwin and his theory, was the fact that it was survival of the fittest. But survival of the fittest did not explain why there is different species, okay? It doesn't explain species variance, okay? There are animals that never changed on an evolutionary scale, okay? You have horseshoe crabs. Horseshoe crabs have been the same since the planet first existed. Why didn't they change? Why didn't any form of evolution change a horseshoe crab? Why? Why didn't evolution really affect alligators or crocodiles? Why? Well, they didn't need to evolve, Dave. They didn't need to evolve, crazy. Driftblim, they didn't need to evolve, Driftblim. Oh, okay, so evolution is based on need. Huh. How does our genetic code know what is needed? Question. Why does some animals need to evolve, but others didn't? Doesn't really make sense, right? Here's another example. A bee. Take a bee. Why does a bee die when it stings? I mean, wouldn't that have evolved already? Think about it. A bee. Oh, I'm a bee buzzing around, and I'm going to sting you. I'm dead. That's been around for millions of years, according to Darwin and evolution. Why did the bee never, quote-unquote, need to evolve a stinger that doesn't kill it when it defends itself? Why? Well, you could say, Driftblim, what about wasps? They can sting multiple times. Yeah, but they don't pollinate. They don't cross-pollinate. They don't. Wasps are more of a nuisance. Bees are actually constructive to an ecosystem, right? Bees actually are productive and constructive to an ecosystem. Wasps are more of a weed, a nuisance. Wasps don't really contribute to ecosystems the way a bee does, right? So you would say, okay, so if like a bee is like a flower and a wasp would be like a weed, right? Now explain this to me. Why did the bee, which is an extremely important part of our ecosystem, not find a way to evolve a stinger that didn't break and kill it when it defended itself? Why? Over millions of years. If, according to Charles Darwin, everything evolved, that human beings came from rats. Explain that. Explain that, please. Please, I would love one scientist to come in here and break that down. I would love it because they don't know what they're talking about. They'll come in with all their gibberish and their garbage and what do you say this happened because of this? Blah, 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 blah. They don't know what they're talking about. Period. End of story. End of discussion. They don't have an answer. So that's a